I love competition. I'm a tough person. I can do whatever it takes to get the job done. And this is my job, and I love it.
In excellence, sometimes you have to do some pretty nasty things. So it is a little bit like warfare. They have a few tanks, we've got a few tanks.
If you lose at something and you give up, all is lost. Take the losses and learn from them.
I'd like to become the greatest the world has ever seen. I'd like to make history.
So few people win a Grand Slam. Only a few can reach the top.
What are the human costs? How much suffering is too much?
If you want to be the best, then you've got to think and do everything to be the best. There's no room for other things.
For more than 100 years, the elite athlete has fascinated scientists as they analyze every breath, every heartbeat, every muscle fiber. And yet, the origins of extraordinary athletic performance remain mysterious. From China to Kenya, United States to Australia, new champions emerge each year to express the power and beauty of perfection.
A diver without a good physique looks awkward. Diving comes down to difficulty, execution, and aesthetics. So, of course, you have to strive for beauty.
What is the mix of nature and science, of talent and culture, that creates these patterns of excellence from the same countries, year after year? Over the past decade, China has come to dominate the world's diving competitions, winning more gold medals than any other country. And in the World Cup in 1993, the divers made a clean sweep of all 6 events, and in 1995, won 7 out of 10. If you're on the national team, your day begins before dawn. For this boy, up to 12 hours of training lie ahead. He's not here by chance, or even by choice. He's been selected as a potential champion through a rigorous national program.
We have very exacting standards. Physique, technique, and mental attitude are all taken into account. Character counts for a lot.
But foremost is body type. Each child has been specifically chosen for their perfect figure.
We will take on anyone who has potential. As the sage Confucius said, education should be available to all. I try to live by this and not exclude anyone.
Chinese physical characteristics are well suited to the sport. This has contributed to their excellence in diving, together with certain historical traditions.
I think diving, like gymnastics, draws on the acrobatics tradition in China, and that tradition involves early identification of talent and then certain methods of training flexibility and strength into young children.
Susan Brownell studied Chinese at Beijing University and ran for their track team. A gold medal winner in their college games, she set a national heptathlon record.
There is a belief that the younger you can get the talent and start to develop it, the more it pays off.
The best age to be competing is around 15, and it takes 5 years to make it to that level. So I have to look for potential athletes who are about 10 years old. For diving, you need a particular type of body, which allows you to make a graceful line as you enter the water. And for this, you need well-proportioned arms and legs. For example, if an athlete's arms are too short in here, if when they raise their arms their elbows are not above the top of their head, then they can't straighten their arms. Their arms are bent. That affects the amount of splash as they enter the water. These days, our divers need shoulder joints that are strong but more flexible. This is the best combination.
The theory of developing talent is pretty well developed. That is, there are scholars working on it. They can x-ray children's wrists and they can project how large the children will grow to be eventually. I think in practice it often comes down to individual coaches who have a good eye, and they have areas of the country where they like to recruit, and they go out and they have their own methods of picking out the potential athletes.
You've got to look at the parents as well. There's a Chinese saying that if the mum's tall, the whole litter will be tall. Well, a tall father gives you just one tall child. You have to consider the genetic factors.
If you don't continue to improve, you are swiftly dropped from the team, losing the free coaching as well as the food and transport privileges that go with it. With a large pool of talent to draw from, the competitive pressure is intense. It's not just a matter of being good at your sport. It's about being good enough.
Come on, guys. I didn't see one good dive. If you dive like this in the competition, you'll be finished. You could kiss goodbye to the title. Understand?
China now leads the world in diving and wants to defend that reputation jealously. These divers have been selected from provincial teams all over China. They come to Nanying in the south for 3 months intensive training in winter. From this group, a few will be selected for national and Olympic teams. Honor for the motherland is still important, but for young athletes, sport offers a rare opportunity for escape from hardship and poverty, even though the training routine is severe.
There is a lot of training, and it's very rigorous. Life consists of the dining hall, the dormitory, and the training pool. It can get a bit monotonous. You can't just go out or wander around the streets because you have to conserve your energy. It's a hard life.
Chinese attitudes towards training differ from the West in that they still tend to emphasize the idea of training hard, enduring pain, eating bitterness, as they say, a little bit similar to the way the West was maybe 10 years ago before we started to get even more scientific about how we train.
Watch it now, don't go too fast.
You know, I love to coach. I have helped them achieve success, and I've helped them to reach their maximum performance.
This $6 million temple of sport is a center of excellence in the world of athletics. It's home to the famous Santa Monica Track and Field Club and super coach Tom Tellez with his keen eye for talent.
I would say that the most important thing is that the athlete has the mind to go with the body. You know, sprinting is intelligent, and I think that the athletes that I've had have been very successful have those traits. They're intelligent, they're stable individuals, and they're willing to work and listen.
Tellez has coached to a brace of world champions, including Leroy Burrell, Mike Marsh, Floyd Hurd, and the incomparable Carl Lewis.
Carl came to me as a long jumper first, and that's what I recruited him, and I taught him how to run in the approach to the long jump, because it's basically the same concept as you run the 100 meters. He's very coachable, and whatever I tell him, he believes me 100%. There is no question in his mind, because he knows that I'm going to try to give him the best that I know how. And I know him pretty well. After 15, 16 years, I know exactly what he's thinking about.
What you need from a coach throughout your career are his eyes, or his or her eyes, because you can't see the things you do. You need someone to see what you're doing so that you can apply those mistakes and correct them right there at the time.
When he was a young man, I remember him coming in my office and said, "I do not want to work for a living, I want to run for a living." And that's what he did. His goals and his vision was much greater than mine. And I told him one time, I said, "Well, the world belongs to those who dare." And he's that type of person.
My system for starting a race is very simple. I don't visualize and all that kind of stuff like people say, all the Zen stuff. What I do is just think about the specific technical elements that I have to do when I'm standing there. And then when the starter calls us to our mark, I basically just get down to my mark and clear my mind. I am aware of my surroundings. That's the correct way to describe it, but I don't react to my surroundings. The best race is run within your lane, so that's what we concentrate on doing that all the time. I'm very confident in my top end speed. I'm very confident in my race, so I have to keep my mind on not making mistakes.
Carl picked the right place to be, and I think he picked the right coach. I think that I understood Carl right from the beginning. You know, we had a great relationship, and he felt very confident. You have to be in the right environment to really progress.
On the edge of the Rift Valley lies another great center of athletic excellence. A small Catholic school in the tiny village of I-10, St. Patrick's has an extraordinary record of producing great champions in distance running. From this little school community have emerged more than 24 Olympic and world champions in 2 decades, names that resound through the record books.
Most people would like to be able to put their finger on one thing and say, that's it, this is why they're successful.
Colin came to St. Patrick's 20 years ago and took up coaching on his second day. With no previous sporting experience, he has since helped the careers of numerous champions. He's also witnessed a stream of foreign athletes and scientists intent on sharing the Kenyan secret.
lot of people have come and researched it from many different angles. Some people have looked into the diet to see is there something in the food that they eat, and some others have looked into the lifestyle of the people. Some may attribute it to the altitude.
For 30 years, every distance event from 1,500 to 10,000 meters has been dominated by runners from Africa. And most of Kenya's champions come from one tribal group, the Kalenjin, centered around this small district.
Running is an extension of their lifestyle, because from a very young age, running is the only means of getting from point A to point B. They run to the market, they run to school, they run for water, they are herding cattle. When it comes to actual training, running is just an extension of what they've been doing already.
People who run long distances most days of the week from the time they are small children are certainly going to develop a muscle physiology which differs from that of more sedentary people. It is more fruitful to look for cultural factors that affect ambition, motivation, pain tolerance, and similar human dimensions of athletic experience in order to account for extraordinary athletic performance.
It looks like we're going to use a smaller course within the field.
Colin is preparing the athletes for a local meet on Saturday. It's the first step in the strenuous process of selection for the national team.
For the junior men, will be running 5 laps.
People also tend to ignore the fact that they do work hard, they train hard, they sweat. I mean, they get out there twice or 3 times a day and they do the work. And it's not something that just can come naturally. Some people tend to think this is all genetical and they have a natural superiority. I don't think they have.
In order to understand athletic achievement, I think we have to pay some attention to the sense of cultural destiny to excel in sports that develops in certain groups of people around the world. There is no reason to think that dark skin or light skin would somehow be biologically connected with athletic performance. When we look at skiing and we see that the Swiss and the Austrians are winning a disproportionate share of World Cup medals, we don't ask questions about the extent to which white skin might relate to skiing ability. But as soon as we see a Kenyan, for example, performing well in a steeplechase or in another distance event, we can't get beyond the black skin. And we start to ask questions about the extent to which that skin is somehow related to other internal characteristics, rather than dealing with the circumstances out of which those Kenyans come.
Knowing how to win. You know, Connors knew how to win. Macaron knew how to win. Some boys and girls are great athletes, but they don't know how to win.
At the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy, the day begins at 7 a.m. This is where you go if you want to be a winner in the world of tennis. Children are sent here from all over the world, some to attend brief camps to improve their game, others to fulfill a larger dream.
Well, you know, the New York Times said that the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy is the mothership of all academies of the world. And is it for everyone? Hell no, it's not for everyone. you have to give a lot of thought before your child packs up to go away to try to have a dream of being #1 in the world come true. Let's just get in the good ready.
After 4 decades in tennis, Bollettieri trades on his reputation as a prime talent spotter.
That's enough. Good. I look at their spirit, their movement, their attitude, the way they address things. It's almost like a hidden talent. I was told about Monica Seles several years ago, so I journeyed down to the Orange Bowl, and I said, do you know where this young girl, Monica Seles, is playing? They said, yeah, she's down at Court 3. We were at Salvador Park and big hedges, and I heard this, ee. So, I peered behind the fences and looked, and I saw this little girl with a big racket. I think it was a Prince racket. And the racket was bigger than hers. So I sort of watched a little bit, and I saw the feet going. I saw her determination. I said to myself, boy, that little girl is something. And Agassi, flamboyant, pigeon-toed, walk quickly, hands, quick answers, orange hair, red hair. But when he got out there to play, he went for broke each time. There was no in-between. There was no, say, listen, if I get it back 90%, I have a chance to win. He went all the way.
Agassi's road to Wimbledon started in his crib when his father suspended a tennis ball over his newborn baby. A student at the academy from the age of 13, Agassi's dream finally came true after 9 turbulent years with Bollettieri.
I can recall that match much like it just happened. The little speech after Andre won Wimbledon was one I'll never forget. Nick, if we never do anything else, we've done it all. I mean, that shows how much went into this to win a Grand Slam. So few people win a Grand Slam.
No longer with Agassi, Bollettieri has coached a number of Grand Slam tournament winners.
All right, that's it. What time we got?
Returning from a break, Mary Pierce faces a tough ordeal to regain physical fitness.
She'll go to the dungeon and get broken down again. Actually, by Thursday or Friday this week, she'll have a tough time walking. No mistakes, Marco. No mistakes, buddy. Come on. Good preparation.
Tennis is a really hard sport. I think people maybe don't realize how difficult it is. We don't have an off season. We play, 11 months out of the year, and the month that we have off, we're intensely training, to get ready for the next year. So it's very demanding physically, very demanding mentally.
Nick's method takes over body and mind.
You got to drive anything negative out of your head all the time, because anything that you verbally say, I suck, the balls are terrible, that has a direct reflection on what happens later in the day.
This is Tommy Haas. He's 18 and on the threshold of his professional career after 6 years at Bollettieri's.
Every once in a while, through the channels of the academy, comes a star. And we liken Tommy to that star. I know Nick has spent countless thousands of hours working on his development to bring him along to where he is today.
Since his arrival from Germany at 12, Tommy has displayed the potential of becoming Nick's latest success, following the footsteps of Courier, Krickstein, Arias, and others. In 1 year alone, no fewer than 30 Wimbledon contestants were products of the Bollettieri formula. A dozen families hold shares in Tommy. They support him now and will benefit from his future earnings.
I want you to be tough. Nick wants you to be tough. Nick wants you to fight. Nick wants you to dive. But we want you to center that all towards the ball and towards your opponent and towards winning the match.
Come on, up on the ball. That's good. Come on. Close in, Priscilla. Priscilla, keep your racket up a little higher. It's dropping. The racket is dropping below your wrist.
Of the majority who don't make it professionally, some might earn a college scholarship. For others, the $22,500 annual fees will simply give them a stronger game. It's a tennis factory.
Now, they may turn out a champion here and there, but for every champion that they turn out, they end up using up a lot of young people who we never hear about, and whose development, I think, is seriously compromised.
You're entitled to your opinion. My record will speak for itself. I'm certainly not going to try to justify my record and say that critics are wrong.
Set up, break out. You want to carry it down to the far blue line for the forwards. Regroup to your defenseman, okay? Defenseman gets to the blue line and back off. So we've got the regroup coming in because here. The fact that it's a team game, you obviously don't deal with 25 robots. You deal with 25 different personalities, 25 guys that have their own thoughts and goals and aspirations. In the sport of hockey, because it's such an international sport, we're dealing with a lot of people that come from different backgrounds, different cultures too. So there's that added into the mix.
Mark Crawford was voted Coach of the Year in 1994, his first year behind the bench. And his team, Colorado Avalanche, is one of the top in the league. The game's fast, furious, and intensely physical. To be good, you've got to be bad, if not downright ugly.
In excellence, sometimes you have to do some pretty nasty things.
Where's the third guy?
You look on opposition teams for players that are intimidated, that don't perform up to their level if they're playing against physical people. And intimidation and the physical part of our game is there because that's how a lot of people try to neutralize the highly skilled people. So it is a little bit like warfare. They have a few tanks, we've got a few tanks.
Swing, fill the lane, fill the lane!
Such is the pace that players can only be on the ice for about 45 seconds before they need to be rotated.
You've got to make quick decisions. You've got to realize which players are going, get them out there a lot.
Keep coming now, don't question it, just keep firing it.
Emotionally on the sports field, you're allowed to show a little bit more emotion, where you can go out and really bang somebody on the playing field. You can't do that walking down the street.
Many sports are certain forms of masculinity rituals because they tend to emphasize dominance, they emphasize physically overpowering other competitors, and they emphasize strength and speed. And to the extent that they do these things, they reaffirm traditional ideas about masculinity.
Oh yeah, the crowd is crazy. They get so excited, but it's really fun to be out there and watch the guys because we got good fighters too in our teams. It's part of the game to get, if you're down and some guys in our team start a fight, we got the other guys get excited and get the team going.
For a boy like Matt Bothwell, it's a long haul to fulfill the dream of playing professional hockey.
My goal is to make D1 first, and if I make it farther than that, pros, that'd be great. But trying to make it the farthest I can. To play the NHL would be the greatest, because just a dream for every sport, whoever's playing. Just you make it to pros, then you feel good about yourself.
I remember back when Matt was 3 years old, and he was speed skating, and he was a good skater. And we watched a men's league, and they were really checking hard. And I had Matt on my knee, and I said, Matt, you think you ever play hockey? He said, I don't think so, Dad. It looks too rough, And it was 3 months later that he was playing hockey, and he loves it, and he's never been seriously hurt, never missed a game because of injury, and he's played now for 10 years.
As an all-star team, the Colorado Bantams often play above their age level. Today, they're playing the Aspen Midgets, some of whom are 4 years older than them.
You know, with their gear on, you look at them on the ice, and most people don't even realize that there's that much of an age difference. You know, some of the kids we're playing are 18, and our kids are mostly 14.
One, two, three, game!
Sometimes, some games you get away with the bruises, and some games you get hit and keep going. Sometimes you think about it, but most of the time if you think about it, then that's when you get hurt.
Both of our boys have had concussions in the last 3 weeks, so it's kind of scary. You worry about them getting hurt playing, the older guys especially.
Almost, guys. Remember that third period we played our last game in Boston against Mercer, New Jersey? You guys really stepped it up and just cranked them.
The most important thing that you have to tell aspiring kids is to make sure that they have fun. I really believe that if you enjoy what you're doing, if you love what you're doing, then that's going to be your best chance to be successful. If you're doing it for some ulterior motive, it better be a pretty good ulterior motive to get you to have the characteristics that you're going to need to make it to that top 1%.
Move up! Right up! Get up! Get inside so you can go to the net! Right side! Right side! On the puck!
Every boy here certainly has the talent to go on to play college and Division I college hockey and get that education, and that, you know, that's a good goal. And then anything after that, if they got to play professionally, then that would be icing on the cake.
In China, education and sporting achievement also go hand in hand. This is where it all begins.
但是现在这个，因为现在这个城市的孩子大部分都是独生子女，家长对他们这个生活。
Of course, most city families these days have only one child. Those kids get it pretty easy.
家里边的掌上明珠了。
They get a bit spoiled. So lots of parents bring their kids to us, hoping the training will toughen them up a bit.
希望这孩子能够刻苦，能够从这个训练过程当中培养他这种吃苦的这种精神。当然要从这个城市和农村比较来说，农村的孩子
Kids from the country, on the other hand, can cope with a lot more hardship.
These children are on the first rung of the Chinese national selection program. It's a big net designed to catch the hidden talent in this huge population.
My name is Jiang Xiaogong. I'm the principal of the sports kindergarten. We are now in the girls' gymnastic training center. Our pupils here are aged between 4 and 6. Our aim is to select and train athletes from an early age so as to develop quality athletes for the nation.
Gymnastics is the art of defying gravity. mere ounces can mean the difference between success and failure in some difficult, even dangerous maneuvers. For most female gymnasts, their career is over by 18. With 10 years of training required, it's easy to see why you need to start so young.
Kids spotted for their outstanding potential and suitability for a particular sport are sent to a spare time school, where they continue training until they're ready to progress to the highest level.
This spare time school system provides intensive training in a number of sports. It can lead you into provincial and national teams, and for these kids, it's a real privilege to be admitted, enjoyed by less than 2% of their peers.
We have produced a number of outstanding individuals over the last 10 years or so. For example, it was the students from the Baoding City High School that made up China's team at the 1995 Junior World Table Tennis Championships in Israel. All those students had come through the ranks of this kindergarten. They won 5 out of the 6 gold medals on offer.
Like their gymnast colleagues, these young women in the Shichihai Spare Time School have been selected for their sport by their body type. It's one advantage of a socialist system that seeks international success. The sporting arms race has led to huge advances in training and technology.
Primarily, I've focused on the athlete. We can have the best bicycle in the world, but if the athlete is not up to scratch in terms of the physical preparation and their psychological preparation, then you wasted your time. They have to have the right physiology, and if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to make it. And we can relate that to if you've got a V8 engine and I've only got a little 4-cylinder job, well then it's quite simple, I'm not going to be able to keep up with you.
In the hunt for those V8s, scientists at the Australian Institute of Sport have embarked on a national talent search. They aim to test every school child in Australia to find those with a body type to succeed in specific sports like track and field, canoeing, and cycling. "13 cyclists in Charlie's program wear the rainbow jersey of world champions in a range of events.
At the endurance end, that's people that have superb oxygen systems. And if you don't have that, then you're going to be in trouble. And obviously they need to also have a good lactate capacity. If we go to the sprinters, and they're at the other end of the spectrum. These are the people we call the Ferraris, the high-powered machines, volatile nervous systems, very aggressive, big egos, full of fast twitch fibres. They have to absolutely explode when they go.
When you're out there racing, you know it's going to hurt, but you know it's not going to hurt as much as what training sessions have hurt. And you know, if you've done the work in training and hurt the body a hell of a lot in training, racing can be quite enjoyable even at the elite level.
Pain has always been there. I think what you've got to do is learn to live with that pain and learn to accept that you can find something a little bit more in yourself than what you've currently done.
Charlie, you know, he is tough. And a lot say maybe he's too tough and too hard, but without being hard and tough, if the coach is not hard and tough, the riders won't be hard and tough.
This cycling team is about to attempt the world record for the junior 4,000 meter team pursuit. Their training and their bicycles are second to none.
In terms of bicycle technology, we've always trailed behind, but now I think we're one of the leaders.
These carbon fiber bikes are worth more than $20,000 each. But that's spare change in a world where America has spent more than 10 times as much in development. Airflow is the key. Any unsealed crevice, any speck of dirt is the enemy, when hundredths of a second are at stake. It's said of Charlie Walsh that he prepares his athletes so rigorously and so precisely that they achieve peak performance at the very hour or even minute that it is required.
If they believe that, well then I think you've won the day. Whether they are at their best or not, I guess doesn't probably really come into it. I can recall talking to Shane Kelly after he won the World Kilo Championship and broke the world record, and it was a phenomenal performance, and he said to me afterwards, you know, everything you said happened. But really what it was is the athlete believed that was what was going to happen, and he went out and did it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Riding as a team and taking turns to set the scorching pace, these cyclists are pitting themselves against the clock. With no coach and far from his teammates, road cycling champion Lance Armstrong goes about his solitary business of collecting miles.
Yeah, you can ride 0 or you can ride
20 or 120 or 140 miles a day. Some days are smoother, and it's the smooth days, the days where everything is clicking. You feel good on the bike. You feel confident. Those are the days that you find the zone. Those days you're in the zone, or you're on your best form, then the bicycle is just an extension of the body.
A professional from the age of 15, Lance started as a triathlete. Vital to his progress was the support of his mother.
When people are growing up and they're involved in athletics, they have to have support at a young age. I mean, if it's from a coach or from friends or most likely from their family, they have to have it.
When Lance started in any endeavor, we tried to set goals and talk about it. Set a time. Is that realistic? You think you can do that race in that length of time? All you have to do is beat that clock.
As center of the road cycling universe, Europe is the magnet for Lance, with the sport's most grueling challenge, the 23-day ultra-marathon, the Tour de France.
A superb piece of cycling by Armstrong today. That is why this rider is something special. A world champion at the first attempt, and now his second stage victory in a Tour de France.
23 days on a bike, 4,000 kilometers. It's not human, it's not healthy, but it's one of the biggest sporting events in the world. That's what we race our bikes for, is to race in the ultimate race, which is the Tour de France. It's something that everybody wants to do, and the Tour is the biggest, it's the fastest, it's the most intense, and has the biggest crowds. It's something you have to do.
Whether a team sport or a solo event, ultimate performance depends on an individual's commitment to excellence.
I come down to September 5th, 6 weeks before the games, and once again I put down, I'm in great shape, starting to have a strong finish, take some easy strides from here on out. I'm ready for a 28-25 10,000 meter run in Tokyo. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between reality or imagination.
Billy Mills created the greatest upset in Olympic history when he won the 10,000 meter event. And yet, he had planned how to win this race with clockwork precision for 4 years.
For me, it was a form of self-hypnosis, and I visualized dozens of times a day. Then I started with my workout book. So in this particular notebook, as I got closer to the games, this was the summer of 1964, I believe in August, I put down, I'm in great shape, must believe I can run with the best in the world now, and I can beat them at Tokyo.
The problem he faced was how to improve his best time by almost 2 minutes.
Now, how do you improve almost 2 minutes? It's just too phenomenal to think in terms of 2 minutes or a minute and 50 seconds. So I just went to the simplest form of something I thought I could believe. Once around the track, 25 laps, I felt I just have to put forth that much more effort, a lap, and that's 25 seconds. To improve 50 seconds, each lap I'd have to stay on top of the intensity of my pace just, and that's 50 seconds. 2 laps to go. I'm on Ron Clark's shoulder, and Ron looked back. My thoughts were, my God, he's worried. If I can just stay with him, I have a chance. I have a chance. We go into the last lap. I have Ron boxed in, perfectly boxed in. He nudged me a little. I nudged him back, and he gently put his hand under my elbow and just pushed me out. I thought I was going to fall. I went out, stumbled. I closed back on his shoulder. Kamoudi from Tunisia broke between us. At that point, I was going to accept third place. Coming off the final curve, I could not hear any noise at all. I could hear the throb of my heart. I could hear the heartbeat pounding. I could feel a tingling sensation creeping down my forearm, my vision coming and going, but my thoughts changing from one more try to I can win, I can win, I can win. I could see the tape stretched across the finish line. 30 yards to go, my thoughts became over and over again, I won, I won, I won, but I'm still in third place.
Coming on! Mills is coming on! That might be Bill Mills! What a tremendous surprise here! Bill Mills of the United States wins the 10,000 meters! Bill Mills of the United States, a tremendous upset!
You focus for 4 years, dozens of times a day, visualizing, really reliving the moment the way you want it to be. And then you win. That one fleeting moment, you know you're the very best in the world.